Good afternoon, evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Andrew Roblyer. I am a Houston-based director and producer here in Minnesota for the very first time, and I am so thrilled to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the show and what's about to happen in just a moment, but before we do that, we have two orders of business that we need to take care of. And the first is that I want to allow the fantastic actors behind me who have agreed to be here tonight, having no idea what scene they're about to do, to have a chance to introduce themselves. So take it away.
Hi, I'm Mike D. You can also see me as the demon in an exorcism, don't you know?
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Zakary Morton, and today I'm in this show, and then I go to rehearsal for Sound of Music, and then I perform in my other Fringe show, The Professionals of Broadcast, over at the Southern at 10 p.m.
All right, so the next order of business is that we need your help to pick the scene that we are going to see tonight. So I have prepared three possible scenes. Tonight is our Shakespeare night, so all three of these scenes are from Shakespeare. And to help you in your decision, I'm not going to tell you what the scenes are, but I am going to give you three descriptive words about each of them. And then we're going to vote by sound of applause which one you want to see. So, scene number one, your three words are obligation, power, and debt. Option two is haunting, doubt, and reckoning. And option three is ambition, persuasion, and threshold. So, who would like to see scene number one by round of applause? All right, scene number one is out. Thank you very much, scene number one, thank you.
Get out.
What about scene number two? Great. And scene number three. All right, sounds like it's going to be scene number three by a hair, which means that tonight we are going to work on a scene from Julius Caesar. I'm going to have you read Cassius and read Brutus. Oh, here are pencils for both of you, and you're welcome to step into the dressing room if you'd like to read through it while the audience and I chat. All right, so while we give the actors a chance to review the scene I have just handed them, I want to tell you a little bit more not only about the show, but why. So I have been in love with theater since I was 6 years old. I started my first performance in a church musical called Journey to the Center of Christmas, which was a spoof on Star Trek. I played the only adult character in the show, Professor J. Ingle Bell, and I was the shortest child on stage. And I fell in love with it. When I grew up, the rest of my childhood, if it had been too long between performances, I would get this like ache in my soul. And I rediscovered and re-fell in love with theater in college, this time through the lens of directing. And I moved into directing not because I wanted control, but because I realized that I was really passionate about being in a position that allowed me to support all of the different artists that were working together to create something beautiful. And when I fall in love with something, my nerdy type A brain loves to learn everything I can about it. And that's how I very quickly realized that there is no real path for directors in the American theater. Welcome, come on in. There's no real path for them. There's no training, no map. Most directors learn by doing it and hoping that we don't break something or someone along the way. Because here's the thing, a director sets the emotional tone of a production. In the corporate world, studies show that your manager is one of the top factors in whether people thrive or burn out. And it's no different in theater. The director is the culture setter, the emotional thermostat, the person who decides what matters. But most directors, especially in what I call upstream theater, community and educational theater spaces, are just thrown into the deep end. At a low estimate, there are 30,000 directors working in those spaces each year with no training, no mentors, and no support. Just vibes. And the weight that is placed on their shoulders is immense. They are told that their vision is what makes a show sink or swim. And on top of that, there's the implicit understanding that they are responsible for training the next generation of artists who will move downstream to professional theater and Broadway. Because nobody gets their start downstream. We all start upstream. And then we wonder why theater spaces can be tense, toxic, or unclear. It's not because directors don't care. It's because the system never taught them how. which is why I built Deconstructing Directing, which is the name of the company that brings you this show today. It is a completely 100% free online resource library for directors. It explores topics that most directors I know have never had a chance to talk to anyone about. Facilitation skills, imposter syndrome, power dynamics, regulating our own emotions, and letting go of fear-based, authority-driven models of directing that have held our field hostage for way too long. It's a resource unlike any other than existence for directors, and you can check it out for yourself with the QR code on the half sheet of paper that I hope they gave you when you walked in. If not, I will make sure you get on the way out. Director's Cut, the show you're here to see, is my attempt to put at least some of that work into a performance. I know that marketing makes this feel like a cool, edgy experiment, and it is, but it's also more than that. It's a window into something that theater very rarely shows, how at least part of directing actually works. And it's a love letter to every director who's ever been told to just figure it out. So tonight, I'm going to be building this scene from scratch right in front of you with the help of these actors. No prep, no second chances. You'll probably see me stumble, chase moments, make some hard choices, not because I think I have all the answers, but because I believe that directing deserves to be visible, valued, and shared. Because when we support directors, when we give them the tools and space to grow, we create better theater. Safer rooms, stronger stories, braver choices, and that makes theater better for all of us. So, are you excited to see the show? Excellent. All right, we grab our actors. Come on out, guys. All right, so we are going to start the process tonight with something that we would normally do seated around the table, except we're going to have the gentlemen do it on their feet. We call this a table read, but tonight we'll refer to it as our read-through. The point of a table read, or a read-through, is to give the actors and the director an opportunity to hear the text out loud. This is especially important when it comes to Shakespeare, because we're working with language that may not be familiar to us. So I'm going to have the actors just read through this scene. The point of this is not to be perfect. The point of this is not even to act it necessarily, although you may see them move around and start to make choices. The point is to get a sense for the scene. And then, once we're done with that, we'll move on to what we usually call table work, again, sans table, and you'll get to see kind of how that process starts, and then we'll put the whole thing together. All right? So, with that, gentlemen, I will give it to you. Take it away for Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2.
Will you go see the order of the course?
Not I.
I pray you do.
I'm not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is Antony. Let me not hinder you, Cassius. Your desires, I'll leave you.
Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eye seen that gentleness and show of love that I was wont to have. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cassius, be not deceived if I have veiled my look. I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed am I of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil, perhaps, to my behaviors.
Then, Brutus, I have much mistook your passion, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value, worthy cogitation.
Let's pause right here. There's going to be two places in this script where we need to hear an off-stage shout. So when I gesture, I need all of you to say, huzzah! Can you all do that for me?
Huzzah!
Great. Let's keep going, Brutus.
Nice. What means this shouting? I do fear the people chose Caesar for their king.
Aye, do you fear it? Then must I think you would not have it so?
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is that you would impart to me?
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and dusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Dost thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood, and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accounted as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink!" I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchises bear. So from the waves of Tiber did I, the tired Caesar, and this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar cares for the sleep, but not to him.
Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we, batty men, walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men, at some time, are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that, Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is a fair name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is as heavy. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed that he has grown so great?
Well, that you do love me. I am nothing jealous. What would you work me to do? I have some aim. How have I thought of this, and these times I shall recount hereafter. What you've said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear. And find a time, both meet to hear and answer such high things. Till then, my noble friend, chew on this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome, under these hard conditions as this time is likely to lay upon us.
I am glad that my weak words have struck but thus such show of fire from Brutus.
Excellent. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. So one of the things that I want to start by asking you all, just make sure we understand kind of the events that have transpired prior to this scene. So this is really early in the play. What do you all understand has happened so far, if anything?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's been so long.
Cool. I'm not going to put
Yeah, I'm
going
to shout out.
I'm not
You
gonna
tell
put you on
us.
the spot.
Somebody tell us.
So essentially what has happened, right, is that this is very early in the play. This is the second scene. Caesar, right, who is, these are all senators, right, so leaders of Rome, and Rome is a republic at that point, right? And Caesar has become very, very popular, but with the people. And as a result, has gone out to speak to them, right, immediately prior to this in the scene. And the shouts that you are hearing is essentially the shouts of the crowd wanting Caesar to claim the kingship.
It's like being elevated by popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nothing like what's happened in the world lately. Yeah. So this shouting for Caesar to be king, right, is what has led us to this point, or this concern, right? And this isn't the first time that Brutus or Cassius has heard about these rumblings from the people, right? People have been pretty public about the fact that they want this guy to be king. So, with that in mind, I want to kind of identify what's happening within this scene. So, what do you understand you want from Brutus in this scene, Cassius?
Stop being such a little bitch about Caesar and fight him. You don't want it either, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, right, and we see this kind of play out in later scenes even further. But you're essentially asking him to join with you to depose him.
Yes.
Right, which likely means killing him.
Being the public-facing object of my machination.
Yes, exactly. Right. Now, Brutus, what do you want from Cassius in this scene? Do you think, based on what you're reading here in the text?
I mean, he kind of seems reluctant on this and is kind of over it. He's just like, no, I just kind of want to not be involved in this whatsoever. So he's like, leave me alone.
Okay, great. So especially at the start, I think that's a really great place to start. One of the things that we know from later in the text, and normally I would just say we'll go with what's on the page, because character, it kind of matters. One of the things we know from later in the text is that Brutus cares very much for both Caesar and Rome as a country, right? And his concern is overall about the safety and health of Rome. And as much as he cares about Caesar, right, he recognizes that Caesar becoming king would be bad for the Republic, right? Again, not like anything that's happened recently. So the question that I want to ask you is, why do you stay to hear this? Cassius starts talking about, and clearly kind of alluding to, like, hey, Caesar thinks he's all that. But, like, we're all that too.
Yeah.
Right? We should have just as much power and control as he does. Why do you stay, do you think?
Because there's a part of him that knows that that's true.
Yeah. Okay. I want to push that a little bit further.
Okay.
Why does he know that's true? Why does he believe that that's true?
I mean, he's been in the Senate, he's seen what it is, and he also has that thing in the back of his mind that one person holding all the power is not good for Rome.
Great. That distinction is going to be really important here, right? Because why does Cassius want Caesar gone, do you think?
Because I don't like Caesar.
Right? He doesn't want Caesar around because he doesn't like Caesar. You don't want Caesar around because you care about Rome.
Right.
More than Caesar. Right? So that creates a really interesting conflict here in this scene, right? And so the question that the reason that I ask you about, like, why do you stay, we're going to dig into more as we go through this, right? Because as Cassius starts to make his argument, he's going to try different tactics, different attempts to try and get you on his side. And the question I want you to ask yourself as we go through this is what he's saying convincing because of what he's saying, right? Or is what he's saying convincing in spite of what he's saying for you, right? And the answer, I don't know that the answer is one way or the other purely, but as we go through this, especially because he does have a couple of longer pieces of text, so when you are listening to that in character, really be thinking about, like, am I vibing with what he's saying, right? Or am I vibing with the point that he's trying to get to, even I don't like how he's getting there? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so now that we've done a little bit of table work, we have a good sense of, like, what the scene is about, right?
Can I ask a very dumb question?
Absolutely, no such thing.
Is it Cassius or Cassius?
We can do either one today. Do you have a preference?
Cassius.
Cassius, great. We'll go with Cassius today.
Call me Cassius.
There's also one word that I wanted to point out, Brutus, middle of the first page. You see where it says vexed?
Yep.
There's that accent over the E. It's vexed.
Vexed, okay.
It's just Shakespeare. It's weird. Okay. And it's just because of the scansion of the line, but I'm not worried about that today. Okay, so now that we've had some time to kind of set and make sure that we're on the same page, that we have a shared mental model of what the story is about and what the goal of the scene is, now we're going to start to piece it together a little more in terms of the scene. So let's decide where we are. If Caesar is close enough, if he's close enough outside that, like, we can hear the shouts of the crowd, where do we think we are?
I was going to say in the empty Senate.
In the empty Senate. Great. Okay, so for the sake of, we're not going to worry about, like, setting this modern times necessarily, but for the sake of visual, imagine the Senate of the United States, right? Imagine that room. Imagine being there and hearing these shouts from outside the Capitol. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So be thinking about, like, that specificity, that imagery, right? One of the things that, as a director, I can help do is establish not only that shared mental model, but a shared sense of space and time. And the specificity with which we do that can impact the way that the actors interact with space. So if we just say we're in a big room, there's nothing to really anchor them to the space, right? Imagine, like, when you're at home and you're talking on the phone, right? You might, if you're like me, you might wander around while you talk, right? You're looking at things, you're picking up things, right? It gives you, you're inhabiting this space. But if I don't help the actors have a sense of where we are and what else is in this space, then that makes it harder for them to do that, right? And harder for them to interact with one another. So let's imagine, for the sake of this, that this area off here is the exit to the front of the Capitol.
Okay.
Right? So this way to the rotunda and outside. And that way, as you all are moving in this space, you have a sense of kind of where Caesar is, right now. Because as you talk about him, now you can reference him physically in space. Great. Let's also give you You may not choose to use either of them, but I'm going to give you a desk and a chair. Perfect. Give that to you. Grab one more chair for you. We will imagine that this is one of many desks or chairs that are in the Senate, much like in the Senate of the U.S. Capitol. But that way you have a place to kind of ground yourselves physically if you need to lean on the desk, sit in the chair, whatever the impulses are that are there. Cool. All right. So we're going to start to block this. We're going to start to stage this. And we're going to go beat by beat. So the first kind of beat of the script, the first kind of section is we're going to start with the first 4 lines. So will you go see the order of the course through I'll leave you. All right? Excellent. So let's imagine that Caesar and the rest of his entourage have just left. Right? They have just walked out. And I will let you start as you see fit.
Will you go see the order of the course?
Not I.
I pray you.
I'm not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is Antony. Let me not hinder your desires, Cassius, or let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I'll leave you.
Cool. Let's pause right there. So this first section of lines, let's give you a little bit more intentionality in staying.
Got it.
So I wonder what happens if you start the scene as though you are following them out.
Okay.
And then you know that he's stayed behind, so you choose to stay behind.
Got it.
And this positions you across the stage, which gives us some tension, right, in the spacing.
Okay.
So now that line can be across, right, and a little more intentional, and you may feel an impulse, especially when we get to this next beat, as you start to kind of lay the not trap, but the ask down. So this line, I am not gamesome, I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is in Antony. You're talking about Mark Antony, who was kind of Caesar's right-hand man, best friend, other than Brutus. So when you say I'm not gamesome, I don't have that quick spirit, what do you mean? How would you phrase that in your own words?
I don't quite have his swagger, his demeanor, his panache.
Why does that keep you from going?
Because anything that I would want to do to hinder his ascent to kingdom isn't going to matter.
Great.
In my head.
You feel how that sounds coming out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Try just saying, I am not gamesome through Antony, those first 2 sentences. Try to get that feeling of what you just said, but using Shakespeare's words.
Got it. Figure it out. Yeah.
Just those lines.
I am not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is Antony.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel the difference?
Yep.
Yeah. And then as you say, let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires, right? What do you think his desires are?
To go out there
exactly,
and
right? So you're saying like, hey, don't let me keep you, right? So when you say I'll leave you, let's turn around and leave. Make him stop, right? Let his words stop. So one of the things that I think about directorially, right, is that actors have a lot to keep in their minds, right? They not only have their lines, they have the position on stage they have the relationship, all of this specificity we've been building in terms of place and all of these other things. So me guiding the actors to make certain choices doesn't mean that they're doing their job poorly. It just means that we're working together, right? They may make these choices as we go, right? And some of them already have, and you'll see this as we continue to work together. And I'm going to jump on those choices and those impulses. You're also going to see me looking for these, what I call impulses. Usually they're in the shoulders, feet, or hands. And these are kind of subtle movements that actors make that tell me that they feel an impulse to move or to do something, but aren't letting themselves for whatever reason. And oftentimes what I'm really interested in is why that impulse is there and giving them permission to follow through it and see what they do. So you may notice that as we're working through this. All right, so let's just do these first 4 lines again with you here now, and then we'll move on to the next.
Will you go see the order of the course?
Not I.
I pray you do.
I am not some gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is Antony. Let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I'll leave you.
Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not seen in your eyes that gentleness and show of love that I was wont to have. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cool, let's pause right here because I love what I'm seeing from you right now, Brutus. there's this, like, what the fuck are you up to, right? And I want to encourage you to lean into that a little bit more, right? Lean it, like, you two work together very closely, very regularly. You know each other, and you can tell when he's schmoozing you. And he can tell when you can tell that he's schmoozing you, right? So don't be afraid to, like, let him know that you know that he's buttering you up.
Okay.
I saw the impulse. I just want you to take it and make a bigger choice with it.
Got it.
So can we go from Brutus, I do observe you now of late? Cool.
Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eyes that gentleness and show of love as I want to have. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves.
Cassius, be not deceived if I have veiled my look. I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed am I of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behaviors.
Cool, great. Phrase that in your own words. What are you saying there?
I know you're full of shit. The reason I'm feeling this way is I see what you're doing.
Okay, cool. So I think there's maybe a little confusion. So can I clarify something? So I think when you say I am vexed, I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself. Basically, I think what you're saying here is I'm not annoyed at you. I just got a lot going on in my head.
Got it. Okay.
Right? I'm in my own thoughts. You're fine, right? Because basically what he's saying is like you've had a resting bitch face for a while, right? And you're basically saying, yeah, but it has nothing to do with you.
You don't
right?
want to cuddle afterwards anymore.
So can we just go that line again from you bear too stubborn and too strange a hand into Cassius, be not deceived. Cassius.
You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cassius, be not deceived if I have veiled my look. I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed am I of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which gives some soil perhaps to my behaviors.
Cool. Let's pause right there. That's excellent. I want to take this impulse you have to move and let's make it more intentional.
Okay.
Because right now we've got this pacing going on. Pacing is great, but in real life, two things stop us when we're pacing. The first is a physical object, like running into a wall or table. We can't keep walking, obviously. The second thing that stops us is a thought, right? Rarely do we see people just turn around and start kind of walking back and forth, except in cartoons, right? So I want to invite you to take that impulse and use the space.
Okay.
That impulse you have to follow him, right, as you're talking about what's in your head, I think is great. So keep that. Talk to him, right, and let the pacing carry you toward the thing that's got you in your head, which is him, right? Don't worry. Let him follow, right? Don't stress about him. He'll follow you. You walk as much as you need to in this direction. Let's see what that does for you. So we get same place. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand.
You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cassius, be not deceived if I have veiled my look. I turn the troubles of my countenance merely upon myself.
Don't worry about looking at him. Keep walking. Keep walking.
Vexed am I of late passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself,
Yeah, there you go.
which gives some soil perhaps to my behaviors.
Yeah, feel that? You got here and you felt it. I can see that. Let's keep going. Cassius.
Then, Brutus, I have much mistook your passions, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value. Worthy cogitations.
Ready, audience?
What means this shouting? I do fear the people chose Caesar for their king.
Cool. Let's pause right here. You ask a question. Do you know the answer to this question? What means this shouting?
Yeah, absolutely. It's rhetorical.
Yeah, absolutely. So really lean into the fact that, like, you know the answer to this question. Don't actually ask it as a question. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Let's do that one more time. From the huzzah. Ready? And
Huzzah!
Great.
What means this shouting? I do fear the people chose Caesar as their king.
Aye. Do you fear it? Then must I think you would not have it so?
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well, but wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is this you would impart on me?
Cool. Let's pause right there. Weird Shakespeare word. Wherefore means why,
Okay.
not where. So you're asking him why are you keeping me here, right? So instead of crossing past him, what happens if you come straight to him?
Okay.
Try that cross again.
Right.
From I would not Cassius. Cassius, will you give him that cue line that I must think?
Then I must think you would not have it so.
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is this you're about to you would impart to me?
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I was born as free as Caesar. So are you. We have both fed as well, and we can both endure a winter's cold as he.
Yes, follow it all the way down. Follow that impulse to sit all the way down, Mike.
For
Yeah.
once upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darst thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point." Upon the word, accounted as I was, I plunged it in and bade him follow. And so indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I will sink!" I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I the tired Caesar. And this man is now a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar carelessly, but not on him.
Cool. Let's pause right there for just a second. So, we are in the empty Senate chamber, right? Anyone could walk in at any moment. He may not care, but I wonder if you do. Right? So I wonder if there is any point at which you try to get him to at the very least be quiet about it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go do that monologue again.
Sure.
And as you start to kind of hear him get loud enough that you're like, fuck, people might actually hear this, right? Because again, I think you know what he's asking, right? Like I think you already, you're not dumb, right? Bruce gets it. So the fact that you are entertaining this at all is bordering on treason, right? And so, and not just treason, but like treason against a friend, right? Betrayal of this man that you like, right? Other than the fact that he's trying to become king, or that the people want him to become king, right? So you being in here with him talking like this, that's a risk for you.
Right.
Cool?
Okay.
I love the initial impulse of like, oh my god, this again, right? I think you can play that, I think you can take that even further. Don't be afraid to pull or don't pull your punches on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go from, well, honor is the subject of my story.
Yeah.
He sat right as,
Yeah.
oh yes, okay.
Do you want me to do my line?
Yeah, what is it that you would impart to me?
What is it that you would impart to me?
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I was born as free as Caesar. So were you.
We have both fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me,
Pause right here for just a second. That for once is a shift,
got it.
right? Like,
Now I'm going into story mode.
exactly. So
Thank
like
you.
make it, take a beat for that.
Sure.
Can we go again from we have both fed as well, or we both have fed as well?
We have both fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darst thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accounted as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet with lusty sinews, throwing aside and stemming with hearts of controversy, but ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, Help me, Cassius, or I will sink!
Yeah, put it, he's gonna give you touch
Oh,
your shoulder.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, keep going.
As Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulders the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I, the tired Caesar.
Good.
And this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body.
Cool. Pause right there. I'm going to give you permission to shush him.
Okay.
You don't have to be silent. Just do it.
Okay.
Right? Like lots of sounds, quiet, really
Got it.
whispering. That's great. All right, we're going to keep moving for time.
Sure.
But that feels a lot
Yeah, that felt good.
better to me. Excellent. All right. So we have we end up here. I think that's great because now we have our shout. Ready and
Huzzah!
Great. Keep going.
Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
Oh, man.
Cool. Let's pause right there. New honors.
Mhm.
Before you said king, right? So now you're saying new honors. What else could it be other than being a king?
Total control over stuff.
Yeah.
Dictator.
So imagine,
Supreme
right?
Court, if you
It's
don't
like if that was the first one was king. Oh my God, it's even worse. They want to make him emperor, right? They want to give him control of the free world. So that shout, right, is a moment like you're trying to get him to quiet down, and then and then the noise comes, right? So let's try that one more time. Go from and this man has now become a god, and
Okay.
and I'll cue the audience.
And this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar carelessly, but not on him.
It's another general shout. Yeah, I do believe that these applauses here are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
And man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus.
Cool. Let's pause right here for just a second. That cross was awesome, right? This is an instinct. This is an instance of an actor making a choice that we didn't talk about, but that worked beautifully. You pushing him away from the door works. So let's keep that. Okay. Now he's going to start going off again. Let's keep following that impulse. Get him as far away from the door as you can. Right. So like. If he's going to talk this way, if you're going to have this conversation, get him as far away from that door. So push up stage and let's see how that feels.
I'm good with the level.
Yeah. Great. So let's go from for some new honor. I do believe that these applauses.
Okay. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his tutelage and keep him out.
Don't sit on that.
Cool. Good call. Thank you. Yeah. Possible.
To find ourselves as honorable.
Pause for just a second here because there's Will Shakes loves himself a dick joke. Right?
Absolutely.
If he's a colossus and you're walking through his legs, you get hit in the face with his.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, I know. But let's lean into the image you are creating for here, right? That you're basically saying he's fucking us over.
Yeah.
Right? So let's lean into that. Why man?
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and keep him out to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men, at times, are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings, Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should his name be sounded more than yours?
Nice.
Right? Put together. Yours is a spare name. Sound them. It doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them. It is as heavy. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar now. In the name of all the gods, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feast, and he is food so great?
pause right there before we get to your final line. Whew, how did that feel for the two of you?
That felt great.
Yeah, so this is the beauty, right? This is the beauty of working collaboratively with actors as a director, right? Is that, like, I couldn't have pre-planned that necessarily, right? Based on what y'all are giving me. But these beautiful moments that have come about of, like, you trying to push him and then you getting in his face, right? This, like, very intimate gesture of, like, hands on face, pulling in. That happening, this kind of yo-yo happening during that exchange is really lovely, right? And really establishes the tension, the fact that you don't like what he's saying, but the point he's making you actually agree with, right? You agree about the ends, not about the means or the why, necessarily, okay? Great, cool. So then we get to this bit, and I'm going to invite you to take a beat after that he has grown so great, right? Don't feel like you have to go straight into the next line, right? Because what are you saying when you say that you do love me, I am nothing jealous? What you would work me to, I have some aim. What
Basically, like, you're out of line, but you're right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? So before you admit that, take a minute to decide that you are going to admit that. Let us see the decision. This is something that is that I think about a lot directorially. I think about the decision points that characters make, right? And part of my job, part of any director's job, is to be an audience surrogate, to be the person that kind of represents the audience in rehearsal so that we can make sure that what's happening on stage makes sense to someone who maybe hasn't seen the play before or doesn't know exactly what's going on and is learning it for the first time.
Like me.
Right? and so the decision points, right, are one of those things that I look for a lot directorially. Is I look for getting to watch a character make a decision is a powerful thing as an audience member, right? It gives us insight to that character. And a lot of times, especially when we forget that the audience doesn't know that what's happening, we speed past the decisions because we're like, oh, this person's already made the decision, but he hasn't necessarily, right? In this moment, he's making the decision. Cool. So can we go again from just now in the names of all gods at once through that into Brutus's line? We'll keep going.
Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat with this our Caesar feet, that he has grown so great!
That you do love me. I am nothing jealous. What you work me to? I have some aim.
Cool. Let's pause because I want to honor this impulse that you have right now. Don't leave him standing here, right? Like, I love the frustration. Let's carry the frustration. Make him sit, right? You can either like move him or like push him there.
Yep.
And then this lean that you're feeling, right? This lean that you have toward him. Let's use the levels here.
Okay.
Boom. If he's in the chair, right? So that way we honor your physical impulse and we establish a stage picture that's really lovely. Okay. Cool. Same place then, please.
Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed that he has grown so great?
Get him to sit down.
That you do love me. I am nothing jealous. What you work me to do? I have some aim. How I have thought of this all these times. I shall recount hereafter what you have said. I will consider what you have to say. I will with patience.
Let's pause for just a second because we're splitting some sentences. So, when you say what you would work me to, I have some aim, what do you mean? Or how would you phrase that in your own words?
Like you have a point. Like what you're saying, like you're absolutely right.
Feel that in your body? Feel how that comes across? Try that with those words. What you would work me to, I have some aim.
Okay. What you work me to do, I have some aim.
Yeah, feel the difference? That's excellent. All right, and then this next sentence, how I have thought of this, and of these times I shall recount hereafter. So the first part makes it sound like we're saying, like, oh, how I have thought of this, right? but I don't think that's actually what the sentence is saying. I think what he's saying here is, I will tell you later just how much I've been thinking about this. Right? I shall recount hereafter is the end of the sentence. So you're saying, like, how much I've thought about this and, like, of what's going on, I will tell you later. I'm not going to tell you here because we're too public, right? Then you say, what you have said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear and find a time both meet to hear and answer such high things. So in this instance, right, we're in this very public setting. You're basically saying, like you said, I'm with you, but we can't talk about this here. I will talk with you about this later, right? And then you say the very end of this line, which we'll get to in a second. So let's just try that first section of the line, that you do love me, I am nothing jealous, through
That you do love me, I am nothing jealous. What you would have me to do, I have some aim. How I thought of this and these times, I shall recount thereafter. What you have said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear and find a time. Both meet to hear and answer such high things.
Great, keep going.
Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome. Under these hard conditions at this time is like to lay upon us.
Cool. This is all one sentence. It doesn't look like it because it's a line split. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions, as this time is like to lay upon us. So, in your own words, what does that mean to you?
Rather be a patriot than basically like a son of the country rather than of that dude?
Yeah, exactly, right? I would rather be poor and nobody than to be a senator who lets this happen to to Rome. Cool. So give that line another try from "Till then, my noble friend."
Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions at this time is like to lay upon us.
I am glad that my weak words have struck but thus such a show of fire.
Great. Don't drop your volume
Yeah.
quite so much. But excellent. Cool. We're going to make one small staging tweak.
Yeah.
And we're going to angle this desk slightly because we're working in working in this space. So rather than butts to both sides of the audience, this way at least everyone gets a little bit of profile. Excellent. This is another thing, right? That oftentimes, as actors, and I'm an actor as well, so I can say this, that like we forget sometimes where the audience is, right? And so one of the jobs of the director is often to be the person that's like, okay, what's the audience's experience of this going to look like? All right, excellent. How do you both feel?
Good.
Ready to give it a go?
Sure.
All right, so with that, we are going to run this scene for the final time. I'll let you get to starting places. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I present Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2.
Will you both see the order of the course?
Not I.
I pray you. Do.
I am not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is Antony. Let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I'll leave you.
Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eyes that gentleness and show of love that I am wont to have. They're too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cassius, be not deceived if I veiled my look. I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed am I of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which gives some soil perhaps to my behaviors.
Then, Brutus, I have much mistook your passion, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value. Worthy cogitations.
Huzzah!
What means this shouting? I do fear the people choose Caesar as their king.
Aye? Do you fear it? Then must I think you would not have it so?
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here for so long? What is it that you would impart on me?
Well, honor is the subject of my story. I was born as free as Caesar. So were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing on her shores, Caesar said to me, "Dost thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accounted as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. And so, indeed, he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius! I will sink." And I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulders the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I, the tired Caesar. And this man is now a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature who must bend his body if Caesar carelessly put God at him.
Huzzah!
Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we, petty men, must walk under his huge legs and find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men, at some time, are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them. Oh, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them. It is as heavy. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now, in the name of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he has grown so great?
That you do love me. I am nothing jealous. What you work me to do, I have some aim. How I have thought of this, and at these times. I shall recount hereafter what you've said. I will consider what you have to say. I will, with patience, here find a time both meet to hear and answer such high things. But till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions at this time is like to lay upon us.
I'm glad that my weak words have struck but thus such a show of fire from Brutus.
Scene. Let's give them a round of applause. Take a bow, gentlemen. Excellent. Hello there. Thank you so much for watching Director's Cut. I hope you enjoyed it. And if this glimpse into the directing process sparked something for you, whether you're a theater maker, educator, or just someone who loves live performance, There is so much more where this came from, because this isn't just a show, it's part of a much bigger movement that is rethinking what it means to direct theater and how we train, support, and value directors, especially in schools and community theaters, but throughout the industry. You can explore a growing library of free resources at deconstructingdirecting.com, designed especially for directors in those upstream spaces like schools and community theaters, both for themselves and to use as part of their directing curriculum. 100% free. And if you're part of a theater, school, or university that wants to rethink how you train directors, I also offer consulting, custom workshops, and can bring Director's Cut to you, performed with your actors for your audiences. We can package that with workshops on directing, acting, or producing, whatever fits your needs. And if you believe in this kind of work and want to help keep it going, consider supporting Deconstructing Directing on Patreon. Even a few bucks a month makes a real difference. Links to everything I just mentioned are below in the description. Thank you again for being here. I want to transform our field for the better, but I can't do it alone. So until we see each other again, I challenge us all to be recklessly kind.